Good morning, my name is Sandy Arsenault and I'm the president of the South Dakota Education Association. Today we are officially announcing our recommendation for Scott Heidepriem for the next governor of the state of South Dakota. South Dakota is facing many fiscal challenges. Estimates show that lawmakers will need to fill up to $107 million hole to balance our budget. While educators understand the challenges facing the next governor, we also know the best way to get our economy again is to go through a healthy public school education system. For this reason, SDEA is recommending Scott Heidepriem be elected the next governor of South Dakota. For the past 8 years, educators have watched education's share of the budget continually decrease, while at the same time state government continues to grow. Education funding continued to take a back seat in South Dakota. This fact is unacceptable. As a Democratic leader in the state Senate, Senator Heidepriem continually made the public education system a top priority as an investment. Senator Heidepriem championed a change in the funding formula to expand our investment in children. While others gave education a lot of lip service, he is proposing ways to make education the state's top priority once again. Scott knows smart investments, timely made, save money and improves lives. Well-educated kids are substantially less likely to go on welfare and end up in the juvenile justice system. The next governor must spend a great deal of time correcting the impression given by this administration that education is not really that important. Education and educators are important, and prospective educators must be able to see immediately how much South Dakotans value education and see how education employees are valued. We have great teachers in South Dakota. They do a great job, and that message must be heard. If we cannot show them that, we cannot expect them to spend their professional and personal lives in South Dakota. Senator Heidepriem will work to move South Dakota teachers from the bottom of the list for average teacher salaries. Finally, Scott will get our fiscal house back in order, which we must do in order to make the kind of long-term commitment of resources that our state needs and our children deserve. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce the next governor of South Dakota, Scott Heidepriem.
Sandy, I really appreciate this, and I'm so grateful to all of you for being here. This is a historic classroom, and I can't help but remind us all of our own experiences going to school, growing up. I know I speak for a number of the folks here today that it reminds us very much of Han County and the great education we felt that we received back then. But we also all understand that a quality education is in jeopardy in South Dakota now. And I wanted to just mention 3 things. First of all, why is it important that we do this? Well, it's important that we establish faith with the Constitution in the state of South Dakota. That Constitution makes it very clear that the founders of our state in 1889 were obsessed with what it is you all do every day. That is, educate and prepare our children for the challenges of the future. If you read the Constitution in the state of South Dakota, it goes into great detail about education, about how we're going to deal with the challenges of education. And the other subject it talks about, very frankly, are roads and bridges, infrastructure. And both of those subjects, both education and infrastructure, deserve a 21st century approach and a 21st century solution. So first of all, let's make sure that we honor the commitment to the Constitution that our founders put in place many years ago, and that speaks in a lively way to the challenges that we face today. Second, we should be mindful of what's happened over the last 8 years, because frankly, K-12 education has been gutted by this administration. The statistics speak more loudly than anything I can say or any speech anyone can give. Here are a number of examples of what's happened. First of all, if you just look at the statistics, you'll see our state population in 8 or 9 years has gone up just 6%. Our growth in state government has gone up 53%. But the percentage of school funding in terms of K through 12 as a percentage of the budget has dropped 7.5%. This chart shows that in greater detail, or as a percentage of the general budget. So you can see that when this started in 1998, 38.4% of the state's budget was devoted to K through 12 education. Today it's 30.9%, and that's where we get the decline of 7.5% in terms of the overall budget. Of course, 7.5% as a percentage of this number would be substantially higher, and that's really the reduction that we've suffered in education. The Lieutenant Governor likes to say, well, really spending in education has gone up. In real dollars over this 13-year period, I suppose you could say it has gone up slightly, but only slightly. As a percentage of the state's priorities, and that's the only way to measure it, it has declined dramatically, and we have to reverse that. And I've committed myself to doing exactly that. I'm not going to rest until we can turn those numbers around and we can move that arrow from a downward direction to upward back to where it was. Here is a South Dakota report card showing funding effort, teacher pay, dropout rate, and student dollars. All measured by objective entities, and that should be in the press packet that we distributed, but you can see that K through 12 education has just not been treated seriously by this administration. That all must change. It starts in terms of attitude with who we elect as governor. It continues in terms of the mechanics of legislation when we go to peer and we call upon the legislature to change priorities. Every year we get a budget in the state of South Dakota. It's a very, very long document. The budget has dozens and dozens of pages and lots of priorities, most of which cannot be found in the Constitution of South Dakota, but we pay for them anyway. We need to return to the essential principles that made this state so remarkable and really so terrific, and that means education. And that means the next time we all get together, those grades need to change, just as you would say to a student in your classroom who is underperforming. We need to do a better job than that. Why should we be optimistic? Well, I think the most encouraging thing that happened, in addition to the constant advocacy of educators throughout South Dakota, and I want you to know you do a remarkable job in peer, just a remarkable job. The leaders that you send out are respected and listened to, certainly by the legislature. The best evidence of that is anyone who runs for office, they're asked, what issue